Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. You know, every time we that flashes up, that last scene of me, doing my pose, I think about, gosh, yeah, I remember when it was cold. Because it was really cold that day we were shooting that. And today it's a little bit chilly. I'll let you know away, we are taping this on Sunday, actually before the NFL games, before the polls come out. The reason for me doing it then, and I appreciate Evan for doing it, is that Monday I have to go down to Savannah and do a speech down there, up to Savannah and do a speech there, which I'm looking forward to the Savannah Quarterback Club. And my wife really wants to get away for a couple of days. We both need it. So we're doing this today. So when we get to the point where I start talking about the Braves, I won't know whether they won or not. You'll have to – I could do two segments where I go, one go. And, when they tape your words in, you go, what a great win for the Astros. On Sunday night, but no. I'll just talk about what I've seen so far, okay? And you guys can deal with that. I know we are presented by, of course, for the 90th time, Titan MRI. Is that right? 90th time. We've been able to put those Titan MRI logo up there and how much we appreciate Titan MRI. And we are coming to you from the Shakow and Mercandone Studios, who have been unbelievable sponsors of this podcast, and we appreciate them so much. Mike Bianchi's going to join us a little bit. I'm sure he's got a lot to say about Dan Mullen, Florida, Georgia, all the stuff that happened there. And, of course, we have all the other things, the hand law. We are moving the this, that, and the other segment, which I know everybody likes, but we were getting too bogged down on Mondays, and we were having to rush through some things because we had 6 there and 4 here, so now we have 5 and 5. It's like with me and my vertigo. You have to turn your head from side to side and get all the crystals running in the right direction, which still boggles my mind. There are crystals in my head. It's like I'm a wizard or something. But anyway, so we're going to move that to Fridays. Now, a lot of you might be sitting there saying, why don't you do it both Monday and Friday? We love that segment so much. It's funny. It reminds us of Steve. He's got stuff on the menu with this, that, and the other. I'm happy to do that. You just got to come up with a little money. Okay, give me a little sponsorship, and we can do it for a very reasonable price, and we'll do it twice a week. Although that is hard to do, I will say that. All right, let's talk a little bit about the game Saturday if you want to, and I know most of you really don't want to. Here's the thing that keeps going back. I keep going back to. This team finds different ways to play bad when they lose. I mean, they are the one thing that is consistent about Florida's football team in their 4 losses is they get a kick blocked or miss a kick. It's unbelievable. I don't know what I thought. I really thought Florida was going to be fine at kicking. We went through an unbelievable look. The kicking game had nothing to do with this game, but I'm just going to bring it up still. We went through this unbelievable run, whether it was Caleb Sturgis, Eddie Pinedo, Evan McPherson, who may be the best kicker of all time in Florida. Really incredible run of great kickers for Florida, and right now we don't have one. And that's part of the problem is Jace Chrisman, who came from Mississippi State. When you looked at his stats, you went, yeah, he's all right. I mean, okay. And Chris Howard, you thought might just keep missing kicks. I don't know. I mean, it's happened in every game. Every game they've had a kicking problem. Now, you can say that's on the special teams coach. Stay with me here for a minute. The last game, defense was a total disaster. Unbelievable. Still can't figure out what he was thinking. Everybody wanted Grantham out. Okay? This game, the quarterback play was terrible. Awful. I'm sorry, it was. Against a great defense. Let's not forget that. And I will get to that in a moment. But So now the quarterback play is not working. And the wide receivers didn't do him a whole lot. Jacob Copeland, again, had the I want to call it the invisible season. Like, I don't even know if he's on the field sometimes. I think he had 2 catches for 20 yards. I mean, come on. You're supposed to be a great player. He hasn't done that. So you take all that stuff and then you add in other little nuggets, sometimes bad play calling, no question about that. And you add it all together and you get a lump of crap is what you get. You get a big pile of diapers. And that's what this Florida football team is. They're 4-4. They're 2-7, as you all know, in their last 9 Power 5 games since Robbie and I retired. Coincidence? I think not. For once, Dan Mullen came out afterwards and took responsibility. And he said, look, my fault. I'm not getting it done. I'm not getting these guys to play the way they should be playing. I still think he made a mistake with who he started quarterback. I'll get to that in a moment. But the bottom line is Mullen basically reached out to the Gator Nation and said, I get it, guys. I've got to fix this. That was like hitting rock bottom for him. That was like somebody who had a problem, getting to the point where they can't get any lower. And that was for him. All right, you're right. You guys are right. I'm not doing a good job. He didn't say it in so many words, but that's what he said, in my opinion. And at least he took accountability. But here's the question I've been asked over and over and over again. And I don't have an answer. And that's what makes it tough. What do you do? What does Florida do right now? You don't fire Dan Mullen, I don't think. I don't think you make that decision. The guy just went to 3 straight New Year's Six Bowls. Okay, he's 500. He's not 0-8 like Arizona's coach. I mean, it's not as bad. We all knew those 4 games were losable games going into the season, no question. The problem is, I think Gator fans will agree, they lost them in all different ways. And that's what you just go, why can't we be good in everything? And the fact that they are where they are goes back to the head coach at the end of the day. It really is. You can fire all your assistants. The head coach is still in charge. And he's the one not quite getting the job done. So what do you do? What do you do? Well, you recruit better. And this was the weird thing after the game. The way that Kirby Smart took this, like, big paddle to the face of Dan Mullen. That's to me what it was. And I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. And he basically said, doesn't matter how good a coach you are, matters how good a players you get. So you can get all, this is what he basically said. No matter how good a coach you are, you still have to have the players. Our defense was great because we have the best players. So what he is basically saying is, I'm going to be the best recruiter in the history of the game. Me and Saban will go head to head. I'm gonna try to, and then eventually I'll beat him too. Maybe this year, which I think they will probably. And the guy in Gainesville, really good coach, doesn't matter. Doesn't have enough players. And I will say this year, he's right. I was dead wrong about this roster. I thought it was better than it was. And I think my problem was I was looking at a lot of guys who were okay and could be good and might be great. But there was nobody that was great. Nobody. So I think that's my bad. Totally my bad. But the bottom line is you have to recruit better. You cannot keep recruiting at this level. So what do you do? And that's the thing. What do? You fire the head coach? No, that's not the decision. You're falling right back into the bad spot. I don't know. I don't know what to do. There maybe is there a they have guys that are putting gurus and short game gurus in golf, and maybe Florida needs a recruiting guru, somebody that can get things done, because they're not getting it done. Again, when you can't send your head coach out the week of the bye week because he's got a show cause, and then you lose two major commitments, your two best commitments during that week, it's not a good sign. They've got to figure it out. And this is not just something Dan Mullen needs to figure out. This is something the brain trust, and I'm talking whether it's, obviously Scott Strickland and Dan Mullen and their recruiting coordinator and maybe bring in some other people just to talk about what are we not getting done. We all want to talk about that big facility being that it'll be a difference maker. There's no guarantee of that. That's the bottom line. There's no guarantee. They're going to have to figure out a way to get it done. I was looking at some numbers from this game, and one number that stood out to me was Anthony Richardson in the game averaged 2.2 yards a rush and 4.1 yards a pass attempt. And obviously had the massive 3 turnovers that totally changed the game. Again, I would have done it differently. I would have played the same format I had played. If you were starting Anthony Richardson because the fans wanted it, then you're an idiot. You really are. I hope that wasn't the reason you started him. If you started him because you thought you might be able to get that greatness out of him that we have seen in spurts against bad teams, against bad defenses. Okay? If you thought you could maybe get that and just capture lightning in a bottle, I get it. But if you did it for the other reason, I just don't get it. Just don't get it. And that's the way it worked out. But his quarterback rating was 44.9 for the game. Now, yeah, okay, it's easy to pick on the kid. I want him to be good. I really do. I want him to be a great player. And the only way he's going to be a great player is if they play him when he needs to play, and they play him with guys that are around him are better. The guys around him aren't that good. It's like when they talk about other quarterbacks in the NFL, and they go, well, he doesn't have enough weapons. He didn't have enough guys around him. That's kind of what he's dealing with. I don't care how good a coach and play caller Dan Mullen is. Being a head coach is more than just being a play caller or being anything. Being a defensive guy like Will Muschamp was. You got to get players in here. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy. Georgia's going to be in the playoffs. They may win the national championship this year. You got to deal with that. Alabama could also be in there. Oh, now you're going head-to-head with Georgia and Alabama. Guess where I'm going? Going to the place where I could win it all. All right, we got a lot to talk about, including our Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. Love where you live, Alex Wesley Construction. The hand law 3 things are coming right your way. Leonardo's a Millhopper. Quick picks, another few people qualified. So I think we're gonna go ahead and make a poll on Friday and see and get a winner for the Leonardo's a Millhopper quick picks. We got to get to that though and get one more chance to qualify. Hesser and Kipke, the Monday spreads, which we like so much, and then of course Adams Rubco to go player Gator of the weekend, and it was kind of a tough choice, but I think it's a good choice. All that coming up, and Mike Bianchi here on another Dooley Noted podcast.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Duly Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Duly Noted podcast is sponsored in part by the Gainesville Quarterback Club, where they have unbelievable speakers every week during football season. It is an incredible club. It's just like being in a family. I go there every Saturday or every Tuesday. Sometimes I go there on Saturday and there's nobody there, but I go there every Tuesday. You should too. You should be part of it. It's good to be part of a community thing like this, as well as the unbelievable food and speakers and everything that goes on there. I highly recommend it. The Gainesville Quarterback Club. Please come and join. Look, we're not at practice. We're not watching these guys work out. We're not watching the good things they do in practice. We're only watching the games, and we're getting on Zoom calls. And I didn't even get on this week. I already knew what I wanted to say for everything. But I don't get why Dameon Pierce doesn't get more touches. That's one thing, one of many things I think everybody has got a million things to worry about and upset about and they're not happy about. But Dameon Pierce only got 9 touches in the game, 9 carries, averaged 7.7 yards. I did the math. That's good. If you do that every time, you would get first downs every time, right? The rest of the carries went to the 2 quarterbacks, Malik Davis and Naquan Wright. They had 30 carries for 3.0 yards. That's you go 3, 3, and 3. You don't get a first down. You got a kick. Look, I know that the numbers sometimes don't make sense, but to me, this is a good illustration of how they do. And that's where we are. And now what for Florida football? Where do they go from here? So there's nobody better to talk about that than your twice removed columnist, the Gainesville Sun, now that Whitley, Dooley, Bianchi, Harston, Halverson. That's it. That's the list, right? Mike Bianchi joins us.
Hey, let me put on my Zoom light. There we go. Get a little
light
beautiful.
I like it.
A little light on that noggin.
Yeah, so it doesn't reflect off it anymore. But think about that. I mean, it's been a very short list of columnists at the Gainesville Sun.
It has been. I was there obviously for the shortest amount of time. You hired me to be the columnist, and then you saw I was having so much fun. You stopped being the sports editor and wanted to be the columnist.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. Well, it wasn't just that you were having fun; it's that I wasn't. That was a big problem.
Well, we all know why that was.
Yeah. I don't know where to start with you in this Florida football team because you hear it. You do a radio show, of course, 5 days a week of your column in the Orlando Sentinel.
Miami Herald. The Orlando
Miami
Sentinel.
Herald. I don't know. Maybe I don't know where everything runs anymore. But obviously you're getting a lot of negative feedback, and it's just continued after this game. And I don't know where Florida goes from here. I really don't.
Well, I mean, the big storyline from the Georgia game, obviously, it was the story. It's been the storyline when Florida plays Georgia. Is Kirby Smart's a great recruiter? Kirby Smart has signed like 22 five-star recruits since Dan Mullen took over at Florida, and Dan Mullen signed 2. And Dan Mullen was asked about the recruiting discrepancy yesterday, and he sort of poo-pooed it. And Kirby Smart was asked about recruiting, and he goes, you can be the best coach in the world, but you're not going to out-coach great talent. And I, there's a part of me that thinks Dan Mullen thinks he can do that because,
right.
Pat, you've been covering Florida football for a long time. Even when Dan Mullen was an assistant coach at Florida, he was never considered a great recruiting assistant coach. That was always sort of a knock on him as an assistant.
I don't think they sent him out in the roads in those days.
Yeah, and now he's a head coach, and he's, Kirby Smart is one of these. I mean, he obviously coached under Nick Saban. He was, Nick Saban put those guys to work on the road recruiting. And again, I think when Dan Mullen was an assistant coach, he was always the play caller, and the play caller always gets, sort of preferential treatment, when he was under Urban Meyer. So I don't know that Dan Mullen has the attitude, the whatever work ethic, whatever you want to call it, to really get out there and be a relentless recruiter. Spurrier sort of had that reputation, but Spurrier's recruiting classes were better than Mullen's recruiting classes. I was looking at the rivals. Go ahead.
I think Steve had those years where he went, I got to get more players, so he would go out and get them. And and his recruiting style was, all right, if you're going to go there, we'll just go beat you there. And some guys didn't warm up to that, but he could kind of get away with it to a point. And that I think his next to last recruiting class was number 1 in the nation.
Yeah, and again, you look at the upcoming, and I realize recruiting rankings are, they're arbitrary a lot of times, and they're not always accurate. But
right.
When you look at the recruiting rankings for the upcoming class as far as verbal commitments, the Gators have lost 2 of their best commitments over the last 10 days. You look at the rivals rankings, the projected rankings, and Florida is like 36th in the country, 1 spot ahead of UCF. Are you kidding me? Come on. That's not going to cut it. And I don't know that Dan Mullen's going to be able to close that quickly and go from 36 to a top 10 class just like that. So this is a big concern for Scott Strickland and the Gator athletic department. Obviously, if you're not recruiting, you're not going to win at a championship level.
Right,
and Dan Mullen always talks about, the Gator standard and restoring the Gator standard of winning championships and all that. Well, he better start recruiting to the Georgia standard, or he's not going to win diddly poo.
Well, yeah, I guess the Gator standard now is trying to score a late touchdown so you can keep your scoring streak alive. And you were probably at that game in '88 when they lost to Auburn 16-0.
I don't know. I don't think I was at that game. That was a little before my time.
Okay. All right, but here's the thing. I'm going to put you in Scott Strickland's stand-up chair. He doesn't have a chair. He stands up and works.
Yeah.
Stand-up desk. And I'm going to ask you, if you were the athletic director What would you do? How would you deal with this right now where it is?
I mean, obviously, you have to have some serious conversations with Dan Mullen about his staff. Are they good enough recruiters? To me, that's the bottom line. Is the Gators have to have more talent, and Scott Strickland's sort of in a bind. He's sort of tied to the hip with Mullen now. He just gave him the contract extension, obviously. And now he's seeing the program sort of on a downward trend, 2-7 against the last 9 Power 5 opponents, 4-4 right now. So I think Scott Strickland's in a little bit of a bind because there's not really anything you can do except have meetings with Mullen about his staff. To me, that's where recruiting starts, is the staff, and Dan Mullen's got to do something. I mean, Mike Norvell, who's coming off 2 abysmal years at Florida State. Look at the recruiting rankings. Florida State's got a top 10 class right now.
Yeah.
And to me, that's Dan Mullen's biggest failing. Florida State and Miami have been down for the last half decade at least, and he hasn't been able to haul in great recruiting classes as a result. So, again, I don't know what Scott Strickland does except tell Dan Mullen, recruit better. Or, it's like I wrote in my column in today's Orlando Sentinel. Okay, Dan Mullen's not on the hot seat this year, but if
He can see it from there.
Next year, if he gets beat by Georgia like this, it'll be his last Florida-Georgia game. I don't think anybody would deny that.
No, I totally agree with you on that. And I think that it is interesting to see what he does, because Scott has been a big believer in not telling coaches who to hire and who not to hire, because he wants them to kind of die on their own hill. And maybe this is time for him to change that philosophy and get in there on that. But, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle these last 4 games and how much effort is put in. I will say this, Mike. I didn't have any problem with the effort that Florida team put out Saturday. I thought they played hard. It was obviously the mistakes they made, but they were playing against an NFL defense. And I was telling somebody this earlier today. I've covered a lot of NFL games in my life. NFL players are built differently. They're giant balls of muscle that run really fast, and that's what I saw when I saw Georgia.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to recruiting. I mean, you can talk about the rating system, but the 5 stars are usually future NFL players, or at least a lot of them are. So you don't,
and they don't all turn out that way, and then everybody uses those as an example. Oh, this guy was a 5-star.
Yeah, but and Dan, to me, I'm not really shocked at this Gator season, honestly. When this season started, I said, okay, this is probably a 9-win team. They'll probably go 9-3, maybe 10-2. But when you looked at their schedule, I mean, you figured they were going to lose to Alabama, right? You figured they were going to lose to Georgia, and then maybe, throw in another team that they would probably lose to. I thought it was going to be a bit of a year of transition. But, to lose to LSU, to lose to Kentucky, close games. I mean, Florida has still outgained every opponent this year. They outgained Georgia by 1 yard yesterday. But, I don't think this is a program in disarray. But, Dan Mullen, he makes $8 million a year. When you're a coach that's that highly paid, you're supposed to win the close games, all right? And Dan Mullen's not winning the close games.
There was a point yesterday when FSU was ahead of their game, and I went, at the end of the day, FSU, Miami, and Florida are all going to be 4-4, and they're all going to be trending different directions, because you feel like Miami is I think firing Manny Diaz would be the dumbest thing they ever did. Same with Mike Norvell. You've got to give guys time, and yet the guy who's been to 3 straight New Year's Day bowls may be in the most trouble of anybody, because they're trending downward.
Yeah, and it's it's sort of all about the journey and how you get there, right?
Yeah.
Last year, for instance, the journey was, hey, they almost beat Alabama in the SEC championship game. Yeah, they lost. They got clobbered in the Cotton Bowl, but you could blame the opt-outs and all of that for that. So last year, the journey was, hey, even though they lost they lose their last 3 games, the LSU game.
Yeah.
The journey was, hey, this program is trending in the right direction. Now you don't sense that at all. And I hate to keep harping on recruiting, but especially when you see what's going on in recruiting right now, because the Gators need to. I mean, how do the Gators not have like wide receivers coming out the wazoo?
They don't. But they signed a 4-star who wasn't a 4-star in Copeland. I mean, he hasn't done anything, and he's invisible during the games. They thought their tight ends would fill in great for Kyle Pitts. They haven't. They weren't going to because he was a unicorn. And I don't think they have a great quarterback. I think they have 2 average quarterbacks. Is my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson may turn into a star. He
could.
Yeah, but there's a reason Dan Mullen didn't want to start him all this time, because he knew the guy. He wasn't great at seeing the field and reading defenses and making the right reads. And obviously, when you're playing against Georgia's defense, they're going to take advantage of that. But yeah, you're right. If they had not made the mistakes yesterday, they're right in that game. But again, they made the mistakes, and they're critical mistakes. And that I thought Dan Mullen would have some sort of plan to keep that game close, and he might have without the mistakes. But what are you going to say? You are what your record says you are, right?
That's what the great Will Muschamp told me once. He told me that, and he said, "You're loyal to your paycheck." I go, "These are words to live by." But it has been kind of a crazy year, and I brought this up, Mike, just to talk a little college football. So this year we have super seniors, right? We have guys getting extra years, 5 years, allowed to play 5 years. And college football's been better. It's a better sport. It has been more upsets, more you don't know what's going to happen in games, more even though the Georgias and Alabamas and Oklahomas and Ohio States are still probably going to end up in that 14 playoff, at least we've got questions. Why not just do this all the time? Why not give guys 5 years to play football? And I know you would have to change the rules in terms of number of scholarships. I think we're at the point where we could do that and let guys play so that college football becomes – because all they're trying to do with this 12-team playoff is to make it more inclusive. Let other teams in because they've got a lot of fifth-year seniors.
I would be all for it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after this season as far as, the portal, obviously. I mean, you're going to have the portal along with the free transfer year. You're going to have – it's going to be like 8 or 10 players from all the teams are going to just be leaving to another program. And the group of 5 programs are going to have – they're going to have mass exodus. I mean, the star players from the group of 5 programs, the big boys are just going to pluck those guys right out of the group of 5. So it's going to be interesting to see this offseason in college football. It really is.
Your boy Gus Malzahn got a win yesterday. I saw that.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you want to talk about when he took over at UCF, he said, hey, we're going to recruit like our hair's on fire. For UCF, they're recruiting their tails off right now. Again, you look at the recruiting rankings, and they're 1 spot behind Florida in the rivals rankings. Now, I don't know if that'll hold up, but still, I mean, Gus Malzahn's got some recruiting connections, and his staff is considered really good recruiters. I think Gus Malzahn was a really good hire for UCF.
Well, I think he's worked out. Yeah, I thought it was kind of an odd hire, but at the same time, he knows what he's doing. He's organized. He's got it all put together. What? Yeah,
and plus, let's face it, UCF, even though the Big 12's not the Big 12 anymore, but UCF's going to get a lot more money by moving into the Big 12. Yep. Gus Malzahn does have name recognition. He does have recruiting connections throughout the SEC. So he'll get the 3 stars that used to go to Florida just to sit on the bench. Hell no, they'll go to UCF now and play.
All right, before we let you go, I'm going to give you 3 groups. You have to give me your favorite song by each group, okay?
Okay, all right.
The Dixie Desperados.
Dixie Desperados, my favorite Dixie Desperados song. Probably an old one written by Mike Chastain. They don't even play it anymore. Actually, no, I'm going to go. My favorite Dixie Desperados song is Ain't It a Shame I Got a Bad Name All Over Town. That's an Al Lowe song. And then Mike Chastain a close second with Happens to the Best of Them.
Yeah, well, I played the other song with them. You were there. You were at the high dive.
Absolutely. Yeah, you had your Gator guitar. That I think it was like Bobby Bowden's headset said they didn't plug your guitar in.
I couldn't tell whether they did or not. I just was so nervous. I was flop sweating. All right, how about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers? Favorite song?
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I'm gonna go. I go through my stages with them. My favorite song at the moment. My favorite song at the moment is "Room at the Top of the World." That's my favorite song at the moment. But right prior to that, it was "Honeybee."
You way too much credit to Honeybee. I will say that. But "Room at the Top of the World" is a really good song.
I love that.
Have you heard? Yeah. You need to go hear the song they released after his death. "Leave Virginia Alone." It's a great song.
I've heard that. I like that song.
Yeah. All right.
My
finally,
all-time favorite though is "Woman in Love."
She is a woman in love.
Yeah,
and it's
just not me. We've all been there.
That's the greatest thing. My wife loves Tom Petty so much, and because of his lyrics. And when you listen to his lyrics, sometimes you just go, "Yep, went through that." Dealt with that. It's great. It's great stuff. And finally, the Beatles, and make it a George Harrison song just to make The
Beatles. What is my favorite Beatles song? My favorite Beatles song, but it goes back to Tom Petty and Prince. All right.
Yeah.
While My Guitar Gently Weeps. That's my favorite Beatles song, and I went back and I heard the Beatles. Obviously, the Tom Petty Prince version is awesome at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I went back and listened to the Beatles version. I've listened to that a few times, and I'll give George Harrison credit. I mean, I don't think he's a great guitar player, but on that song, he does sort of make his guitar weep a little bit.
He does. He makes it weep a little bit, but also it helps that Eric
doesn't make it weep like Prince.
Eric Clapton's playing
makes
lead.
It cry like a baby. Huh?
Yeah. Eric Clapton's playing lead on that. He's the first guy. I think he's the first guy to ever play on a Beatles album, other than George Martin. So he plays.
Oh, so Eric. See, you just told me something I didn't know. Eric Clapton's playing lead on While My Guitar. See, just adds to my argument that George Harrison is not a great guitar player. His own song, he's letting somebody else play guitar on.
He I would agree with you. He's not great, but he's a great humanitarian, a great person, and he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Booyah!
Ahead of Skinner. Unbelievable.
All right, Mike, always great talking to you, buddy. We could talk to you for 4 hours, but thanks for doing this, and we'll see you on the other side, man. Hopefully I'll see you soon. And
see you, Pat. Thanks for having me.
You'll be up here for the next Bob Dooley Invitational.
Absolutely, I will. You know that.
We'll see you, Mikey.
See you.
All right, Mike Bianchi from the Orlando Sentinel. Of course, he does a radio show down there every day. It's really popular. He does really well with it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do all of our cool stuff. Hand Law 3 Things, Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack, and the Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks, Hesser and Kipke Monday Spreads, Adams Ribco to go, Gator of the Weekend. All that and more coming up when we return. I didn't say that very well. When we return to another Duly Noted podcast.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shackow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shackow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Another duly noted podcast is sponsored in part by the Gainesville Quarterback Club, where they have unbelievable speakers every week during football season. It is an incredible club. It's just like being in a family. I go there every Saturday or every Tuesday. Sometimes I go there on Saturday and there's nobody there, but I go there every Tuesday. You should too. You should be part of it. It's good to be part of a community thing like this, as well as the unbelievable food and speakers and everything that goes on there. I highly recommend it. The Gainesville Quarterback Club. Please come and join.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another duly noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Okay, welcome in to another duly noted podcast. Of course, hope you enjoyed Mike Bianchi. Always liked Mike Bianchi. He's a great guy. Been a good friend of mine for a long, long time. I did hire him at the Gainesville Sun as the sports columnist. What he said was not exactly how it worked. I decided to start writing again, and I was like the second columnist. So they would send me, I remember we went to the Florida-Auburn game, and I got the second column, and so he got the first choice. And what he went with was what different went on to write. And I went and hung around Terry Dean's locker room, and this when you could go to locker rooms, and hung around his locker, and then he blasted Spurs the whole press conference. So it worked out good for me. But anyway, when Mike left, I became the main columnist. That's how it worked. All right, it is time for Hand Law 3 Things. We always love hand law, and hopefully we'll eventually be, I think we'll probably be in 2 weeks, okay? So 3 Things is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm, which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. Number 1. All right, I'm going to give you a confession here. We are taping this on Sunday. I am going to Monday to Savannah, and it's a long story. Why? Anyway. But it is a story, and I can tell it to you sometime. So we're taping this on Sunday, so I don't know what's going to happen with the Braves tonight. The Braves might win the World Series, and if they do, then let me just say, I can't believe it. Unbelievable. And if they don't, I'll go, I'm nervous. I'm still nervous. So I got to give you both emotions. I'm not counting anything. Believe me. I'm not even close to counting anything with the Braves. Now, if you're watching this or you're listening to it and they've already won it all, you're going, what an idiot. Sorry. It's just the way I am. I have a real negative outlook on things, on my teams winning things. But last night's game, to watch that game, I didn't even watch the first few innings. I was sticking with football. I'm not going to watch because it's not going to matter till the fifth inning anyway. And then I watched it from then on. And the two solo homers, that was great. Okay, so this was one Saturday night. It's the second time in a row that the Braves got me out of being in a Gator funk because I can live with that. So good luck to the Braves or congratulations to the Braves. Either one, it's been unfreaking believable with this team, dealing with this team. And watching some of the interviews with guys. Dansby Swanson's interview Saturday night was unbelievable, so emotional. It was almost as good as, who had a great interview? Not an interview, but a speech. Jason Sudeikis on Saturday Night Live did a whole thing about the history of the stage and the history of the music acts that have played over here. And he was really emotional. It was really cool. So those are about the same. I'll go with that. How about that? All right. That was number one on hand law, 3 things. Number 2. I did talk about this earlier, but it is amazing to see how the state teams remember when Sports Illustrated, and this was when Sports Illustrated's coverage are a big deal. They're not a big deal now. I don't even know what it looks like. I've not seen one in forever. But Sports Illustrated's cover used to be a big deal. In fact, you would be pantomiming running a football, and you go, cover Sports Illustrated, But then there was a time when they just did a thing of the state of Florida. And it was the king, how Florida was just dominating University of Florida, Miami, FSU. And it was like so cool. So after the games of this weekend, I thought we might see all 3 teams at 4-4. They're not, because FSU did not win. So they are 1 game under 500. The 3 teams in the state of Florida. So it would be 24 games in the season. They are 23 and 20. No, wait a minute. 24 games of the season. They would be 11 and 13. 11 and 13. I think so. I think you're right about that. Something like that. But the bottom line is, it's amazing. I don't know we all know what's happened. First of all, more people have moved to the state of Florida, and that has allowed other schools to recruit because they're willing to go back. That there's a little bit of that. But more than anything is all 3 schools have gone through multiple coaches, and they just can't get a guy and let him do it and give him time. And right now, Florida fans have a guy in his 4th year. Miami has a guy, I think he's in his 4th year or 5th year, whatever. FSU's got a guy in his 3rd year. I mean, they've all and they're already making noise and everything. Don't make any noise. Just let it go. Let it get figured out. Figure it out. If you don't figure it out, you can be out on your ass. That's the way it works. But it is amazing. Like right now, Miami's 4-4 and Florida's 4-4, and Miami is trending up and Florida's trending down, and that just shows you how things change. They do. They change drastically. All right, number 3 on the handle off 3 things, brought to you at the Shaq Allen Mercandone Studios, as we always do, and presented for the 90th time by Titan MRI. Scott Leffler got ejected from a game the other day, and most of you would be going, who cares who's Scott Leffler? And here's why I would say Scott Leffler was brought in because Tim Tebow wanted him to be his quarterback coach for his senior year, okay? And that was kind of like I'll come back, but you got to bring Scott Leffler in. Scott Leffler came in. Never liked the guy. Maybe it was a me thing, okay? I've never met anybody who's liked the guy. So maybe it's not a me thing. Never liked him. But then I saw, and now he's coaching at Bowling Green. He's head coach at Bowling Green. And they're not good. That's shocking. Then I saw that he got ejected from a game the other day for getting 2 personal foul penalties. First coach since they put that rule in 2016 to get ejected. Way to go, Scott. Way to keep living up to my dreams. You're doing a hell of a job. Scott Leffler. You never even knew he existed. Now you know. Jerk. All right. That is a hand law, 3 things. I don't want to end it on a negative note, Chris, but unfortunately I have to. All right. Now it is time for the Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. Of course, Alex Wesley Construction, love where you live. You ain't going to like it. George is number 1. George is probably number 2. And George is number 3. And they're number 4. If you had a playoff, just play a scrimmage. That's how good they are. I've said this many times ad nauseum, and Gator fans are probably sick of me saying it, but if Georgia was going to pick a perfect time to be great, to have its best team, they picked a great time. Now, again, this is 6 years into their program, building it. You know, there was that immediate rush, and then it kind of leveled out, and now they're coming back up. I don't see anybody beating Georgia because they're doing it without even trying on offense. They're not even trying to do a lot of things. The second half of the game, they went, let's just hand the ball off. These guys aren't going to score on us. They're really good. So number 5, I put Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma a lot. Caleb Williams has made a difference. 6, Alabama. 7, Michigan State. Great win for them. 8, Cincinnati. 9, Ohio State. That was an interesting game to watch. 10, Notre Dame. Another interesting game to watch. There weren't as many upsets, but there were a lot of really interesting games. 11, Oregon, and I can't figure out where the committee's going to put them on Tuesday. And 12, Wake Forest, which remains unbeaten by beating a terrible Duke team. But so you got those are the things. But if you look at it and take Georgia out of the mix, other than the one spot they've got, it's still Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama, Michigan State. Those are the 4 I would put in the committee, if I was doing the committee right now. I would not put Cincinnati in. I'm not impressed with Cincinnati. They're good. Maybe they deserve to get in, but Michigan State's got more going on than they do. I tell you what, Notre Dame beating North Carolina was big for them. I think Alabama's still better than Cincinnati. I think Alabama would beat Cincinnati over and over again. I think Oklahoma, same thing. And I know what Georgia would do. However, you got to look at it. All right, so that is your Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. Alex Wesley Construction, love where you live. It is time to go to the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. And you guys were you were okay last week. We had a couple people qualify over the weekend because the over-under at 51, I was trying to give you the hint. There was no doubt it was going to be the under. No doubt in my mind. If I was a gambling man, which I'm not for obvious reasons because I lose, I would have bet the under 100 times on 51. And the reason I didn't think Florida would score a lot of points, and I didn't think Georgia would feel like it had to. And they really didn't. They did hit the one deep play, where they kind of caught Florida, with a safety covering a wide receiver. But the bottom line is, I just didn't think it would get to 51 points. So, and it didn't. It got to 41 points. So anyway, so here's who we have qualifying from last week. James Taylor. Is it the James Taylor? Could be. He's seen fire and rain, apparently. Darlene Berry got in as well. So we now have 37 qualifiers. So we need to make a poll on Friday. On Friday, we will make a poll. We will come up with a new winner. I will send you the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks, plus some other goodies as well. We'll go along to you this week, but we have one more chance to qualify then. So let's do it this way. Let's go a little volleyball. Florida and Tennessee in the O-Dome, 7 o'clock Thursday. Pick a winner. It's not hard. It's your last chance to qualify. And some people have qualified multiple times, and they get multiple, things in the ribbon or things in the hat. So we'll see how that works out. All right, let's go to the Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads, which we've started doing, and we're having fun with this, and thanks to Ken Hesser as well. The games of the week and the Monday spreads are both brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit the website at hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-99. I can't give me that. 352-339-9920. That is the number to call for Hesser and Kipke. The Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads, which we always give you. I have not seen the Florida spread yet, and it's kind of early, but we'll get that to you later. A&M is a 6-point favorite against Auburn. That game's at Auburn, I think. Yeah. No, it's at A&M. I'm sorry. It's at A&M. Auburn is really playing above its pay grade, I think, and I give them credit. I give Brian Hartson credit. And again, I will say this. When you first take over a program, it's easier to affect it then than it is later. Later, you need to have the right blend of players, and obviously Florida doesn't have it. Georgia right now does. LSU didn't have it. And I think but when you first come in and take it over, there's this level of enthusiasm and level of doing things. Guys are ready to do things differently. Even if they were doing them well before, they want to do things differently. LSU, by the way, is a 25-point underdog against Alabama at Alabama. I don't think you're going to see a lot of want to in their resolve, but that's a lot of points to give an LSU team that can score points. Liberty, the big Hugh Freeze Bowl, 15.5-point underdog at Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off that loss. That's going to be a tough one to call. Wake Forest is getting 3.5 at North Carolina, even though Wake Forest is undefeated. Ohio State giving up 15.5 at Nebraska. And Michigan State getting 2.5 at Purdue. Michigan State coming off that big win. I think Ken actually won a couple of beers from me because we bet he took the Penn State points. So, boy, what a bad beat that was on the Clemson FSU game. Scored on it. Oh gosh, thank goodness. Well, I lost in my picks, but I didn't bet any money. Thank goodness. All right, let us wrap it up as we always want to wrap it up with a little bacon, a little ribs and everything, and a little, of course, the greatest green beans in the world with the Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the weekend. I am giving it. I looked it over. I talked about it with some people. I'm going with Rashad Torrance. He made one little mistake, and that was trying to run the ball out of the end zone. If he hadn't done that, it probably is 3-0 at the half, but he did. Okay, that's fine. But he had 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery and a tackle for a loss. And I'm the one always bitching about how Florida never gets any turnovers. So I am giving him, certainly, the Adams Ribco to go Gator of the weekend right here in the Shack Al Mercandani studios. It's a big honor. If he wants to walk in anytime, I'll just, we'll knight him, And we appreciate everybody. We appreciate Coach Spurrier for having us in here. We appreciate all of our sponsors. Again, we will be back on, I'm taping again on Thursday because Friday is the Stop Children's Cancer Tournament. We can't wait to play in that. So we're looking forward to that as well. But we appreciate all you guys watching. We're doing what we can, kind of get through this, and then we're going to be back to kind of normal. And maybe the country will be too. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley, and I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.